Okay, so now we're going to sew our pieces together that we have pinned. And my pin cushion's all the way over there, so I'm just going to put my pins on the table when I'm done. So we're just going to come up from that point, from the point of piece number 5, we're going to start that sewing. I'm going to take my pins out as I go along. And you want to make sure underneath that your fabric is flat so that you're not making any pleats where they don't need to be or getting any gathers where they shouldn't be. This should be a nice smooth seam. If you need to go slower around these edges, feel free. Take your time. Make sure it's flat. Stitch. Voila. And just going to clip my thread up here. It's nice if you clip your threads as you're going along. That way you don't have a lot to clean up at the end if you're, you know, have all these threads hanging all across America, and then you got to try to get rid of them. Okay. All right, and that's what that seam looks like after it's all said and done. All right, so I sewed from the point and we went all the way down, and that's what we got. Okay, so now we will do the other side. Okay, and again from that point, we're going to start. Take the pin out and swerve that a little bit, get it around. Make sure, pull that straight. Fabric's moving a little bit. Back tack it at the end. And clip my thread. Clip my threads. Okay, and there's my other back seam. Started from the point, go all the way down, and awesome. No puckers, no gathers where they should be, flat seams as yours should be. If you have some puckering going on, why don't you go ahead and get that seam ripper out and take that out, and let's repin it and resew it again until you get flat seams. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press these pieces. I'm going to press the seams on these pieces and on the front pieces that we already sewed. Okay, so we've got our center back and our side back sewn, and we have our two front pieces with their darts. So we're gonna go ahead and press this stuff open now. Okay. So I got my iron on. My irons hopefully is hot enough. I use steam. Hold on. On. Gotta press those seams open. Press them open. Nice and flat. Gotta maneuver that curve. Making sure that that's nice and flat. My iron's acting up. Alright, so there's my steam. This arm. Make sure that around that curve that you get that flat so you don't have any puckering, because remember, well, I did so many takes, I don't remember if I cut the piece where I said this, but this pattern calls for us to fold these seams under and top stitch them. So that's why we need to make sure they're super flat and everything's all good. That side. They have to be super flat, or you can get some puckers or some pleats or something that we don't want in those seams. Okay, so super flat. Okay, so you should have your back seams. They should be all nice and flat, pressed out. Just gonna put that to the side real quick and just press the front seams super quick. The fabric from your dart, just push it to the front of the jacket and press that, give that a little quick press. Okay, super quick, because it shouldn't take that much time. And that's the dart, no puckering. Okay, looks really good. So we'll take those pieces, we're going to put those pieces to the side. And now we're going to take our jacket, and what we're going to do is we're going to finish these edges of these seams. So basically, now that you have it folded out flat, you flattened out your seams, we're just going to fold them under halfway. Just basically fold it till it hits the middle of the seam. Okay? And you're going to do that all the way down. I'm just starting on this one because the straight one is going to be the easiest. Okay, this part may be a little tedious for you. And you need to make sure that you do fold it halfway in all the way down, because then your top stitch is not going to be straight and it's not going to be pretty. Okay, so let me just show you this. I just wanted to do a little bit on camera. And can you see that? Can you see that that's folded under? I hope you can. But you need to do that to all the seams. And I'm going to let you do that, and then we're going to come back because it's going to be a little bit tedious. Now I'm not going to film all that, me ironing that. So fold all your seams under halfway. Make sure it's nice and flat. And then we will come back and we are going to top stitch them. Okay? Okay, everybody, we're back. And we should have pressed all our seams under. I don't know if you're using 100% cotton, you could have starched it, because I'm not going to pin all these seams. That's a lot of pins. So mine are staying down pretty flat, and I should be able to maneuver it without doing any pinnings. You see how yours is, and you know, take it from there. If you need to pin something, go ahead and pin it. But that is a lot of pinning. So I just wanted to show you up close again. That's my seams. Okay, that are folded halfway in. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put my foot edge to the center of this seam that I folded my edges to, and I'm going to do my lines based off of that, because I'm figuring that is going to be the most that's going to be even. I'll get an even stitch if I follow that line, as opposed to following the edge that you folded under, because if you didn't get it exactly all the way in there, or if you didn't sew straight and like one edge may be a little bit bigger than the other one, your stitch is going to be crooked. So I'm going to go from the seam and put my foot there and let that be my guide. Okay? So let's get started with that. And you can take your time, because you want this to be really nice. You want the stitching to be really nice on this, okay? So and you should catch your edge of your fabric, because if you folded it in halfway and you're putting your foot there against the seam, you should catch the seam and you shouldn't have any issues. Going slow, because I'm not using pins. I want to make sure my edges stay down. And I'm following that seam, and you also just want to make, you know, if it comes up, fold it back under. But we pressed it good, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. Okay. Almost done this one seam. Done. And back that up. Oh, I didn't share this with you guys, but I'm doing this sewing. I've been dislocated from my spare bedroom, and that's where I used to sew. So I've been moved, and I'm going to have a sewing room in my basement, but because of the Rippin' Ain't Easy competition, 14 weeks, that sidelined that job. I got it painted down there and got furniture and boxes down there, but just need to get it up and running. So I'm in my dining room right now sewing. So that's why you see the glass table, and I'm moving all across America. So that's why I'm in this room. Just wanted to share that with you. Okay. And I am over to the other side. Whoops. Nope. Now I'm going to take that stitch out, and the reason I'm going to do that is because when I was putting the edge, the one edge of my foot is wider than the other. So I need to sew with the same edge that I did. So I'm going to have to flip this around it was going to be wider. So I have to flip this around. And you may have to do that as well if your foot is wider on one side than it is on the other one. I'm glad that I realized that now. Before I got done in my stitches, one side would have been there and the other side would have been like that. So that would have been whack. Alrighty, so one entire seam down and 2 more to go. Okay, and that looks awesome. So you check yours out. I don't know if you can really see that in the camera, but that's top stitching. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. So I'm going to continue with that. If you don't have to use your seam. I mean, you can measure, do how, you know, whatever you want to measure, but you just want to make sure you catch the seams, your fabric in the seams, that it's not going to come out. So your seams are all nice and looking like that, and your stitching has to be straight because it's going to be top. It's going to be showing on the outside. Okay, so onward to the next seam. I keep thinking I need some music playing, but I guess I'm supposed to be talking, and if I have music playing, I might get sidetracked, and then, you know, I might not be able to hear me, and I might be jamming up in here. So we were going to keep the music off. I thought, you know, keep that music off so we can get this done. I hope that everyone is thinking right about now as you're doing this that this has been pretty easy. It hasn't been that hard. So it hasn't been that hard. So when you blow through this jacket, then you can make another one on your own because you'll know what you're doing and it'll be easier the second time around. Yeah, for sure. Alright, okay, ladies. Now we've just attached the side front to our back. And I didn't know I was going to do this, but after I sewed it, the pattern doesn't call for us to top stitch that side, I don't think. So I just went ahead and did the same thing, folded the seam in and top stitched that as well. Okay, so you can do it. You can pause right now if you want to go ahead and do that if you didn't do it, or it's not necessary. Okay, so now we are going to put the front piece, our piece with the dart that we sewed earlier, and we already pressed this. We're going to start attaching this to the side front. And this one we actually are going to start, I'm going to start from the front because I want to match up my notches before I get all into the pinning, because this is going to be the tricky one, because this is the round area where the bust is. So I'm going to start this from the top. Okay, I matched up my first notch, and my second notch is right here. And remember, on the front side, that's where we did the stay stitch. So I'm going to match up my notches, and then I'm going to work my fabric in the rest of the way. Okay, so I got my two notches. And you're going to have, your front is not going to match up with your back because this is going to be folded under. Okay, so don't be concerned like, oh my goodness, this is not matching up. How did I get this? I cut this too short. You didn't cut it too short. It's not supposed to match up. Okay. Now see, we got to maneuver and get this to match this. So this is where you want to make sure you you use as many pins as you need to, because we just want to make sure that we don't get any puckers or anything going on in there. So however many pins you need to work that out, work it out. Okay. Let's see if I can get this the first shot. Be good if I can get the first shot. Almost. I got a little bit of pucker there, so I'm gonna pull that out a little bit. Pin that. I'm going to take this pin out. Stretch this out a little bit as best I can. Maneuver that. And I'm just going to try to stretch that out. I think I got it. With no puckers, I think I did it. I did. And I'm going to put another pin in here so that it does not pucker. Okay, so if you can see here, this is the curved part. So I just stretched that out, and I had to take some pins out to redo that, just because it wasn't going to be flat. Okay, so we want this curved part, we want this flat as possible, no puckers, because when we turn it over, we don't want to see any things going on. We want it as flat as possible. So I'm going to take my time when I go around that curve and make sure I can get it without any pulls or any puckers or anything. Okay, so this piece takes a little finessing to make sure, but you want to not match up your notches first. Okay, so that is one side. And again, if you just want to, I'm sorry about the camera moving, if you just want to look at that again, that should be no puckering going on in there. There should be no puckering. Okay, so go ahead and play with that, because that might take you a second. Play with that, and once you get it all pinned, then go ahead and sew your stitch down to the bottom. Okay, so pin your other piece on, and like I said, just finagle this a little bit. You might pin it. I would pin each where each notch is, and finesse that fabric in between till you get it flat and get it right. Okay, and do your stitches on that. All right. So we'll do that and we'll come back. And let me just also, when you're doing that, we can kill two birds with one stone. We're gonna make sure we got that stitch right.